Home, family, customs. For many halflings, those are the most important things in life. They are the reason why so many of them dread the idea of traveling far away and having epic adventures. Almost every halfling would prefer to just stay in town, enjoying the tales of those who ventured into the unknown while sipping tea in the safety of their land, surrounded by their people. So what makes a halfling sail across the sea, ignoring the dangers of the voyage without looking back? The answer is simple: home, family, and customs. Hi, I'm Tatum, and welcome to MiniStories, the show where I make minis tell stories, make stories into minis, or just paint minis and tell stories. Last time we learned about Corin Strongtide, my halfling necromancer, and my idea of making a full diorama around my D&D party. Today, however, we'll venture into the process behind the terrain in my diorama, and most importantly, the tale of the Dunlin. Quick side note, you don't need to watch the first video before this one, but if you want to, you can find it up in the corner of this video. Now, it's story time! Not all halflings are lucky to go back home soon. Some are forced to spend time away, others simply have other priorities. But no matter the case, the longing will affect them all the same. Even their families back in the southern island of Lialian will feel the absence of their loved ones, shattering part of their home. This is where the Dunlin comes in, a small ship not meant for more than 10 or 15 people, used by a tiny crew of halflings to send letters, small objects, and other mementos to faraway lands and back to Lialian. No matter the distance, no matter the cost, the Dunlin will brave the seas to bring all halflings closer together, to make them feel at home. I sculpted the terrain for the diorama using XPS foam and 2-part epoxy putty. I 3D printed the remains of a ship created by the Lost Adventures and crafted the terrain, keeping in mind where I wanted Corin to stand while making the ship have a strong presence in the diorama. Once everything was in place, I added texture to the terrain by hitting it with a rock. Finally, I sculpted a torn flag waving in the wind by twisting a thin piece of putty and letting its own weight create ripples as I moved it around. After a quick layer of primer, everything's ready to paint, and we are ready to hear more about the tale of the Dunlin. A good ship can take some hits. A good captain can help avoid them. But neither the Dunlin nor its captain, Brom Swiftwinds, could have ever been ready for the wrath of a goddess. The day of falling stars made home feel further away than ever. The seas were treacherous, the tides turning against people and plunging almost anyone who dared brave them into the cold embrace of death. Many got separated from their loved ones, and while every island and every city around the sea suffered this, Brom Swiftwinds decided his people would not. Loading his ship with toys for a child that may never be seen again, a broken clock that someone once promised to fix before leaving, an old man's favorite cup, and many, many letters, Brom decided to take the Dunlin and do what many thought would be impossible: sail across the now cursed sea. The rest of the crew knew this would be a suicide mission, but they decided to join Brom anyway. The Dunlin was more than a ship, it was their home, the other crewmates, their family. And for the rest of the halflings, the Dunlin was a sign that no matter where they went, they would always have a home. I will be honest, when I crafted the terrain, I didn't know what the ship was. I just knew, since I wanted the diorama to reflect the whole D&D campaign, that I wanted to include a ship, the sea, and the storms. It was only when I started painting the flag that I realized just how important this ship was. This couldn't just be a random shipwreck. This ship needed to be deeply connected to Corin, and I knew exactly how to do it. I quickly sketched the flag design that could represent a bird flying over the seas. A star behind it would symbolize the way back home, and its head would resemble the tip of a pen. That is how the Dunlin and its story came to be. But how is it related to Corin, you may ask? Well, there's a bit more about this ship's story left to tell. Right before sailing away from Lialian's port, Brom was approached by a woman and a child, Irene Strongtide and her daughter Alva. The sailor knew what was coming. He prepared himself to receive another letter, this one to be sent far north to Sarkilon. However, a letter wouldn't be enough. Alva missed her dad, Irene her husband, and even on their own island, their home would be forever lost without him. Brom knew what he had to do. This would be the Dunlin's most dangerous trip, but even if he failed, he had to try. The crew took Alva and Irene aboard, promising to drop them in Sarkilam before sailing west to deliver the next part of his cargo. And so, the Dunlin sailed north, facing more danger than they ever had before. After days at sea and many close calls, the small ship finally saw the northern shores of the Kingdom of Sabah, where Sarkilam was located. They were so close. But the danger was not over. A final storm hit the ship, stronger than any they had faced before. There was nothing Brom or his crew could do. Enormous waves sent people to their doom, while the tide pushed the ship against the rocks. The seemingly safe place that they had been sailing through was suddenly a death trap, and they had fallen for it. The seas took the lives of everyone in the ship, leaving only its broken ruins on the shore, the cargo scattered throughout the place. The letters would never reach their destination, and home would be forever lost. But along the remains, a single voice could be heard. A young girl remained, her soul trapped in this world even after death. Alva Strongtime, Corin's daughter, had lost everything, but she would not abandon her dad. She would see him again, and together they would finally be back home. Before I end this video, I need to say a couple things. First, if you are still here, thank you. I love making these videos, and having your support means the world to me. Second, you may have realized that this diorama changed quite a bit from what I mentioned in the last video. Originally, I had thought about making this a kind of poster for the campaign, showing all the party members posing heroically next to a broken ship. However, after painting the flag and coming up with the story for the Dunlin, the project became much more personal, and I decided to take the connection between the ship and Corin and really explore it. I couldn't be happier with where this is going, and I can't wait to finish this and share it with you all. Third, this diorama has become even more important to me because it marks a pivotal point in my channel. Storytelling has been a passion of mine throughout my whole life, and after I saw how happy it made me to come up with the Dunlin story, I decided to make MiniStories the main part of this channel, focusing on storytelling through a hobby, combining two of the things I love the most. There will be some videos related exclusively to mini painting and even miniature games, but I will sprinkle a bit of storytelling even in those. Finally, if you can and want to do it, leaving a comment, liking and subscribing to the channel not only helps me grow as a content creator, but it also makes me extremely happy. I love creating content, and I love it even more when I know you guys enjoy it. Now that I've said all that, it's time to end. Take care, and seriously, really, thanks for watching.